Fire Chief Aaron Lipsky, Assistant Chiefs of Police Sarnow and Waldner, as well as Chief of Staff, Milwaukee Police Department, Heather Huff. Anna Lopez from the District Attorney's Office is here, seeing the fact that District Attorney Laverne was not able to join us today. And Adam Purcell, who has been leading our Department of Community Wellness and Safety, is here with us too. So a combination of unfortunate circumstances has led to what I think is a really disappointing outcome. And that's that Adam Purcell, again, who's been leading our Department of Community Wellness and Safety, is leaving his position in city government. To say I'm disappointed does not even begin to describe the frustration that I have. Adam, in his 5 months leading our violence prevention efforts, has done, I think, a really splendid job working to connect with folks, building greater connectivity in the community. He's done a really solid job. He's not just dedicated and accomplished as an administrator, he brought insight and direction to what I believe is really important work in public safety in Milwaukee. Look, in the time that Adam has been with us over the course of these last several months, serious crime is down more than 20% during his tenure when compared to the previous year. There's a lot of factors that go into that decline, and his work, though, is a big part of that success. Now, the story about how we got here is a bit complicated. I want to talk about that for a moment. So to simplify the circumstances that led to it, it all started with a council decision in November to move the Office of Community Wellness and Safety out of the Department of Administration, where it was a division, and stand it up as a department on its own. Now look, I believe that it should also be a department, but I think there's a way to do it. When you stand up a department, it's difficult. There are challenges around that. And so there were challenges that were here too. When the council decided to take this action, I initially vetoed that measure. That measure was then overridden by the council. And again, I understand that. I wanted to be a department as well, but that's what happened. We even then asked for, say, hey, can we wait for a year before we establish it as its own department because of the complexities with establishing a department like that. So under Adam's leadership, Community Wellness and Safety went through the complicated and costly process of becoming a standalone department. And then a legal issue arose, questioning whether, as a department head, Adam was qualified to stay in the job, to hold the position leading our violence prevention efforts in Milwaukee. As is widely known, Adam Purcell has a criminal conviction. As part of his history, that's actually added to his work and qualifications in the crime prevention field. But as we formally learned this week, the city attorney has concluded that by law, Adam cannot serve as the department director. So that's the position that we find ourselves in now. A fundamental philosophy I've brought to the mayor's office is that when a problem arises, that we work to solve the problem. We work together in order to make sure we get a solution to a problem. Understandably, Adam's frustration is high. He submitted just yesterday his resignation to me. We had a lengthy discussion. We had a discussion just this morning as well. And so I've asked Karen Tyler to step up, leading the Department of Community Wellness and Safety, keep the work on track. She's done that before. I'm grateful for the work that she's done before. I'm grateful for her continued partnership with Adam when he served in the role leading the department. And lastly, I'll say this. I think it's a bit ironic to me that somebody could be the President of the United States of America, could be President of our country, the highest position in our land, the most powerful person, not just in our country, but on planet Earth, and have felonies. But a felon, somebody who has a felony conviction, cannot lead a department in his own community, working to prevent crime, working to prevent those issues that harm folks in our community. The irony, I think, is pretty astounding. So with that, I'm going to open up to anybody here who has any additional comments, and then we'll take a couple of questions. Adam, do you have comments you'd like to say first?
Good morning. I don't have any prepared remarks. It's been a difficult 24 hours, to say the least. There are a couple words that just come to my mind that I want to touch on. The first is gratitude for the Chief of Staff and the Mayor to not let who I was as a 15-year-old determine that I can't be a valuable member of society moving forward. I think that took a lot of courage. I've had so many individuals that have made mistakes or are formerly incarcerated that have come up to me and said, "You've given me hope." And I think the scariest place that I can think of to live in is a society devoid of hope. And I think those who have made some of the most serious mistakes have the potential to contribute in ways that you can't even possibly understand if we can only be given the opportunity. I know you took a lot of heat for putting somebody like me in this position. But for me and everybody who has made a mistake, thank you for showing us that we don't have to be defined in the worst way by the worst thing we've ever done. It's not lost on me that that moment, as a 15-year-old, gave the mayor the thought that I can contribute in a positive way, knowing that that same moment has now come back 30 years later to prohibit me from contributing in the way that I think we all would like. And I think it's a point, at least to me internally, that one, everything happens for a reason. I don't have any ill will towards anybody. I don't think anything was done maliciously. I don't blame the Common Council. I don't believe that they knew ahead of time that this was a potential outcome. And I think moving forward, I have full confidence in the mayor's office and the Common Council that they'll find a way to fully staff and put this department in a position to truly make our community safer. And I hope I've led with grace and humility and show that, yes, those who have made mistakes, who have spent an inordinate amount of time outside of society, can contribute if given the chance. I hope my actions have proven that, and I thank the mayor, the city, for the opportunity to be a servant, and I know at the end of the day, God's going to give me another opportunity to continue to serve. So to that end, thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank Adam for stepping up for that position. It was contentious at the time. The Office or Department of Community Wellness and Safety has always been a partner for all of Milwaukee. And not everything can be handled when it comes to public safety by the police, and we have a lot of community partners that we rely on. It's like a tag team. Like, I can't be there for this community, but you know what? You'd be a better fit. And that's what this department has always been for us. So I thank you for taking that challenge. And it's been nice to have Adam and Karen both to be there to say, hey, I think this would be a better fit for you than for us. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
So it wasn't that long ago, I think we stood in this exact same spot, and I was absolutely elated and making a bunch of bad jokes, right? My friend, Adam, was able to step in and start really, really like maximizing his potential, changing the narrative and making that difference. And now here we are. And you know, this isn't 18th century France, right? But he still has to bear the weight, and he has to carry his ticket of leave, his parole card now for the rest of his life. He served his time. It's over. And if we want to talk about something that needs to be changed, we need to talk about state law and perhaps the criminal justice system that makes Adam, and if we're going to stand on words like righteousness and religion and all that stuff, what about redemption and grace? He is the living embodiment of those things. If you spend 5 minutes talking with him, he bears the weight of what he did wrong at the age of 15 every day of his life, every waking minute. And he has dedicated his life to trying to fix and change and help. But, hey, that's politics, right? I will come and I'll go. Police chiefs will come and go. Mayors, alders, we're all going to come and we're all going to go. We are losing something here. The city of Milwaukee is losing something today. And it is losing something so great that we don't even know the damage that's going to be caused by this. Adam is irreplaceable. And so, as a friend and as a coworker now, this is an enormous disappointment, and you'll have my undying gratitude.
All right, with that, we'll take
Mayor,
questions.
can the Common Council change this? Can they put this department back into the Department of Administration?
Well, I mean, that's a question for the sponsor of the legislation that essentially moved the department then, or the division rather, Office of Community Wellness and Safety into a standalone division. That could be a possibility, but that's a question for the sponsor.
Mayor, Adam mentioned that he doesn't think there's anything malicious here and that the Common Council didn't know about this rule ahead of time. Do you?
No, I don't think that there was anything malicious behind it, but when legislation happens, there's a consequence. Yeah, that's just the reality. So no, I don't think that council members were malicious in their action. I don't think that council members thought that, this would be the end result. I don't believe that. But it is, right? And so this is what we have to deal with. More importantly, I think, and the chief touched on this, is, there's a arcane state law that says that somebody who has served their debt to society, that they cannot hold a position like this. While at the same time, in this very same state, with that very same state law, the Republican candidate for president won the election and is sitting in the Oval Office right now with not one, not two, I won't rattle off, all the numbers leading to it, but 34 felonies, and is sitting as president of the United States right now. That's the reality that we're in.
Mayor, my reading of the statute is if Adam were to be pardoned, he would be eligible. Can you speak to that? Is there any communication with the governor's office about pursuing that?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to have some communication there. My understanding is that Adam does not qualify for that. So we still would find ourselves in this same situation. Again, as Adam has pointed out, as I've said here as well, I don't think was done with any ill intention.
Adam, is there any moment over the last 5+ months that is sticking with you right now, or a particular outcome that you've been thinking about over the last 24 hours during your time as the director of this office?
I think there are moments, and I think that's collaboration is the only way to reduce homicides, and we've seen it. They've gone down since I've taken this role in August of 2025, and that no single person can be held responsible for that. It's a showing that the city, the county, the police department, the fire department are violence interrupters that put themselves on the lines every single day that are never heard of. All of us working together, and I feel like that's the one thing that I did bring, is it doesn't matter what happened yesterday from politics or a politics standpoint, a disagreement standpoint between organizations. We have to find a way, if we truly care about safety and every single life that is lost, how can we put those aside? And I've seen that firsthand, and that gives me hope that we are on the right track.
What's next for you?
That's a good question. I don't know. God will provide.
Adam, you've said before you want people to be comfortable being uncomfortable with these conversations. I know you've had limited time in this position, but do you feel you accomplished that to the best of your ability?
I'm about as self-critical as you can possibly imagine, so I don't know that I'll ever define what I've done as, great. I think to that point, in a way, and I don't know if people know this, but speaking of August 25th, I went back to where I made the worst decision in my life, because I felt that was the toughest place on earth that I could go. And I did that because I wanted to show with my actions that I need society, our city, to lean into uncomfortability. And so by me going to the most uncomfortable place on earth for me, with my actions rather than what comes out of my mouth, I try to model that. And I've seen our staff, Karen, so many of our staff, so many of our partners see that and say, you know what, if you can do that, I can do whatever it is that I have told myself that I can't do. So I feel I have.
Mayor, back in the fall, back in August, this appointment process seemed to concern many council members. Many of them ranged from frustrated to angry to offended. They were including the this process, that the 3 finalists that got a public hearing, 2 of them, Adam was not one of those. What is the health of your relationship with the council when they have been very clear they wanted authority over this and in the future appointments like this?
Well, let me just go back and sort of talk about the appointment process that led us to Adam's position, leading the office, now Department of Community Wellness and Safety. I think it's just important to clear the record here, and I've done it a number of times already, but I'll take a moment to do it again. So after the previous director, Ashanti Hamilton, left to the private sector and had an opportunity there, which more power to him, and I don't begrudge his decision. I think that it's great for him and his family, and I'm happy for him. But when that happened, I thought this had not been previous practice before, but it was my decision as mayor. I made this choice to have the director of the Office of Community Wellness and Safety go through a public process very similar to what the fire chief goes through and what the police chief goes through. I made that decision. And we had a nationwide search and roughly 100 or so people from around the country who said, hey, I want to be involved in violence prevention efforts here in the city of Milwaukee. And I was very grateful that so many people applied to come to our city to work on that very important topic. Because as you all know and have heard me say a number of times, I've got a 2-pronged approach as it relates to public safety in Milwaukee. That's accountability for individuals who commit death, harm, or destruction, but then also working to make sure that there's prevention programs and opportunities out there so folks don't do those things in the first place. So I decided that it would be a good thing to offer an opportunity for the public to weigh in on that. It came down to 3 finalists. Initially, the person that I was interested in, the position, opted not to take the position. And unfortunately, that created a curveball, right? And so things change. And so then as the executive, I had to make an executive decision and pivot. I had known Adam for a number of years. I think I told the story of my first meeting with Adam several years ago. Was on the north side of the city of Milwaukee, I believe at Community Warehouse. And what Adam was doing was working to build connections with members of law enforcement, uniformed police officers, and with people who, much like he had early in his life, made a terrible mistake in trying to have those folks to see each other as human beings and breaking bread with each other. Rebuilding community trust. That's when I first met Adam. And that, after the pivot that I needed to make, is why I decided to select Adam to go into this position. And I think he's done remarkably well. As he said, he's probably the most critical person of his efforts that you will ever find. But I can tell you, I talked about that in some of my statement here. He's been doing a really remarkable job leading our violence prevention efforts in the city, and I'm very grateful for that. So that's how this entire thing unfolded. That's how this entire thing happened with Adam getting there. As far as the council is concerned, I'm always interested in working with the city council. In fact, over the course of the last number of years, I've been happy to work with the council on issues related to people who have felony convictions, trying to get more stability in their lives. Right, whether it's our efforts to ban the box to make sure that people who have felony convictions have an opportunity to work in city government, and not in a director position like Adam, but work in the city government generally. That's a good thing for public safety because it creates an opportunity for them to have a good paying job. That creates stability. That's a good thing for public safety. We work to make sure that felons are able to purchase city-owned, tax foreclosed properties, right? And if they have a place to call home that is stable, that's a good thing for public safety in the city of Milwaukee. So we've done a number of things together, and I'm interested in continuing to work with the council on this and other issues.
A question, someone had asked earlier about, could they revert this move? You said that was a question for the sponsor, but I guess just to be clear, have you had any of those conversations behind the scenes before this decision was made, and how do those go?
This is really fresh. Like I said, I just got Adam's resignation letter just yesterday. So that is a question for the sponsor. My understanding is that the sponsor of the legislation that ultimately got us to this position where the office is a standalone department doesn't really have interests in moving forward there. But that is, again, a question for the sponsor. Is it possible? Yeah, possibly so, but that's a question that would steer you guys to ask the sponsor of the legislation.
We can get one more question.
Mayor, are there any specific council members who are getting in the way of a solution?
I would refer you to the common council to answer those questions, and particularly to the sponsor.
What about making Adam a deputy under somebody else's leadership? Would that work?
Well, a deputy under somebody else's leadership?
So somebody else would be the official head of the department, he would be the deputy, that person might be just a figurehead.
That would essentially be a demotion. And I don't think that anybody here, in any job that they have, would appreciate being demoted because of whatever issue that led us to this point. I'm not going to demote him for that to happen.
Thank you. When is the resignation effective date?
I believe we said 2 weeks from now, so it's a standard resignation.
Still time that he could stay on.
Well, I think decision's been made, but